Welcome back to the deep dive. Ready to dive into something pretty fascinating.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Today, we're going to be exploring the world of media arts education,
Oh, exciting.
specifically through Chapter 2
Okay.
of Media Arts Education by Dane Olsen.
Sounds good.
Whether you're a total newbie to media arts or you've been creating for years, this chapter has so many insights that will really make you think differently about the role media plays in our lives.
Yeah. Olsen really starts out by emphasizing how intertwined media arts is with, well, basically everything we do.
It's everywhere. Think about how many hours a day are you spending interacting with some form of media.
Yeah, good point.
Music, videos, games, even just using an app to order food.
Right.
It's all media arts.
It is.
And Olsen points out that, get this, the average American consumes like 10 hours of media every single day.
Wow. That's a lot. Yeah, and that's exactly why Olsen argues that we need to be more than just, well, passive consumers, right? We need to actually understand how to analyze, how to engage with this constant stream of media, because it really is shaping the world around us in some pretty profound ways.
Okay, so we're basically swimming in this sea of media arts. But what does that even mean? What is it?
Olsen defines media arts as technology-based creative production and design.
Yeah.
But he clarifies right away that it's not just, limited to digital technology.
Like flip books, right.
Exactly.
That's still a form of media arts, even though it's super low-tech and surprisingly effective.
Absolutely. And he actually even suggests that maybe a better way to describe it is machine-based creation.
Interesting.
Which really emphasizes, the historical roots of all this.
And speaking of history, Olsen takes us on this awesome journey through time, highlighting these key moments in how media arts has evolved. And it's not just like a boring list of dates and inventions.
No.
He connects them to these bigger cultural shifts, showing how technology shapes our creative expression and even how we just experience the world around us. What really stood out to me was when he mentioned the Brownie camera from 1900.
Okay, yeah.
This really simple, super affordable camera.
Yeah.
Made photography accessible to basically everybody.
Right.
Kind of like the early version of our smartphone cameras.
Yeah, I love that comparison. Makes it really relatable.
And then there's Pong in 1972.
Oh, yeah. Classic.
The first commercially successful video game.
It's amazing to think about how far gaming has come.
Right.
Since then.
From these like super simple pixelated graphics.
Crazy, yeah.
It's mind-blowing. And it's still evolving.
It's still changing, totally. And what Olsen's chronology really, really highlights is this incredible acceleration of change.
Yeah.
Especially in the past few decades.
I
mean, we went from like clunky desktop computers to smartphones that are, what, 1,000,000 times more powerful and fit in our pockets.
Right.
From, traditional film to streaming everything digitally.
And now AI-generated art.
And now AI is making art and media.
It's changing everything so fast.
It really makes you wonder what's next.
I know. What's the next chapter going to be like?
I can't even imagine.
But before we jump into the AI world, Olsen makes this really important point about this spectrum of media arts.
Okay.
It's not just high art or those experimental pieces.
Right.
It's the everyday tools and platforms we use too.
He's right. It's not all like museums and galleries.
Totally.
We need to move beyond just thinking of things as like good media arts versus bad media arts and recognize just how diverse the ways are that media is used to create and communicate or even just, make life a little easier.
Exactly. Like that app you use to book a ride or order groceries.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That's all media arts at work, even if we don't always think about it that way.
We don't. It's true.
It's about recognizing that it's all around us.
Yeah.
And it's affecting all parts of our lives.
Yeah, it really is.
But now let's talk about AI. This is where things get really interesting.
Yeah, this is the big one right now.
The big question is, can a machine actually be creative?
Right.
Like those AI-generated pictures are wild, but is that real ingenuity?
It's a great question, and Olsen really digs into it. He presents both sides.
Yeah.
On one hand, AI can generate these incredible things based on all the data it's trained on.
Yeah.
But you could also argue that it might be missing that emotional depth and real originality that comes from human creativity.
Like comparing a robot playing a perfect song to a human musician pouring their soul into it.
Such a good analogy.
They're both impressive, but they hit you differently.
They do.
They make you think about art in totally different ways.
Yeah, yeah. And Olsen wants us to really think about what AI means for media arts, not just for the artists, but for society as a whole.
What happens when we can't tell the difference anymore between human and machine creativity?
Which is mind-blowing to think about.
It is. And even beyond AI, Olsen connects media arts to something way bigger.
Okay.
The idea that it's an extension of our minds.
Oh.
This is where he brings in Marshall McLuhan.
Okay.
And that famous saying, the medium is the message.
I've heard that one.
McLuhan's idea was that our media tools actually shape how we think.
Interesting.
And how we perceive the world. Like they're extending our senses.
Oh, wow.
And actually influencing our reality.
So it's not just about what we consume, but how those tools are changing our brains.
Exactly. Think about social media.
Oh, yeah.
How it's completely transformed how we interact with each other.
It's true.
Or how our smartphones are basically extensions of ourselves now.
Right. Always connected.
Always connected. But does all that connection actually bring us closer? Or does it just trap us in echo chambers?
That's the question, isn't it?
Where we only see what reinforces what we already believe.
Yeah, and this highlights just how crucial media literacy is. That ability to analyze media and figure out what's really going on.
To not just be manipulated by it. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so AI is pushing the boundaries of creativity, and media arts is shaping our minds. There's a lot to unpack here.
That's a lot, yeah.
But Olsen also breaks down what makes media arts unique, right?
He does. He identifies these 4 key properties. Interconnective, multimodal, plastic, and potentiated.
Okay, let's break those down. First up, interconnective. What's that mean for media arts?
Interconnective is all about how media arts blends different art forms together.
Okay.
Like music making a film more powerful.
Right.
Or animation bringing a story to life visually.
It's like mixing creative elements to create something even better.
Yeah, a richer experience. And then you've got multimodal.
Okay.
Which means that it engages multiple senses at the same time.
So we're not just seeing or hearing, but experiencing it with all our senses.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It makes the experience more immersive, more memorable. Think about reading a book versus watching the movie.
Oh, yeah, good example.
Yeah.
They're both telling the same story, but the film brings in those visuals, the sounds, the music, even the actors, their physical presence.
Okay, so I have interconnective and multimodal. What about plastic? That one sounds a little, more abstract.
Plastic, in this sense, refers to just how boundless the potential of media arts is for creation and variation. Technology is always evolving, which means we get new tools, new platforms, new possibilities to push the boundaries of what's possible.
It's constantly changing. It makes it so exciting and also maybe a little hard to keep up with.
It is. It is. And that brings us to potentiated.
Okay, potentiated. What's that mean? It sounds like potential.
It does. Olsen's argument is that media arts can produce anything we can imagine.
Anything.
Limited only by, our imaginations and the laws of physics, of course.
So limitless possibility. Anything you can dream up.
Anything you can dream up can be brought to life through media arts. And this actually ties back into AI. Right. As AI gets more sophisticated, the potential just explodes.
It's exciting and maybe a little scary.
Yeah. A little bit of both.
But Olsen also points out that media arts connects to everything else we do, right?
Absolutely.
It's not just this thing off on its own.
Not at all.
He talks about this interarts aspect.
Right.
How it can be used to explore ideas in any subject, like documentaries that make history come alive.
Oh, yeah.
Or animations that explain science in a way that makes sense.
Totally. It's like media arts is this bridge between different areas of knowledge. It makes learning more fun and easier to understand. And that brings us to you, the listener.
Yes.
Why should you care about any of this? How does understanding media arts actually matter to your life and the things you're interested in? So before we move on, we were getting into how media arts can actually transform learning across all kinds of subjects.
Right, yeah.
And I think a really cool example Olsen gives is the power of media arts in language education. It really got me thinking about how we can make learning a new language more engaging and effective.
Yes, totally.
And I love how he uses a familiar setting, like an English language development classroom or ELD classroom, to really illustrate his point. He doesn't shy away from the challenges that you often find in those classrooms, like limited resources, students with diverse learning styles and backgrounds. And you can see how those traditional teaching methods might not work as well in that kind of environment.
Yeah, they can fall short, for sure.
Absolutely.
So what does he propose?
Well, get this. He suggests turning that traditional ELD classroom into a TV studio.
Whoa, that's a cool idea.
Such a cool concept.
It is.
So instead of just memorizing vocabulary lists or grammar rules,
Yeah.
the students become creators, producers, working together on projects like, talk shows, game shows, news broadcasts,
Wow.
even dramatic skits.
So they're actually using the language.
Exactly. It's not just a subject anymore.
Yeah.
It's a real essential part of everything they're doing.
Right. They're living it.
Yeah. They're writing scripts, brainstorming ideas, giving directions, providing feedback.
It's all about the process.
It is. And that's where the magic really happens. They're not just learning about the language. They're living it, experiencing it through these hands-on activities.
And that makes all the difference.
It does. This approach taps into, those natural ways we learn, like our desire to play, experiment. It's not about drilling grammar. It's about creating a fun environment where learning just happens naturally.
It's sneaky learning.
Yeah.
The best kind.
Right. But it's not just about becoming fluent and learning new words.
Okay.
Olsen points out that this kind of media arts environment actually helps students develop all sorts of transferable skills.
Like what?
Like communication, collaboration, problem solving, critical thinking, even technical skills.
Right.
About video production and editing.
Okay. Yeah, those are important.
They are. It's a really holistic approach. It addresses different learning styles.
Yeah.
Prepare students for what they'll need in the 21st century workforce.
What about students at different levels, though?
Oh, that's a really good point. You're going to have beginners and more advanced learners in the same classroom.
Exactly.
And Olsen actually has a smart solution for that.
Okay, what is it?
He suggests grouping students with different proficiency levels together on purpose.
Interesting.
So that the more advanced students can take on these leadership roles.
Oh, I see.
Mentoring their peers and providing support in a natural way.
That's really smart. Everyone feels valued.
Exactly. It creates a dynamic environment where everyone's contributing no matter their skill level.
Yeah, and it reinforces that collaboration piece that's so important.
Totally. Peer-to-peer learning at its best.
What about things like grammar rules and vocab, though?
Right.
Does Olsen just abandon all that?
Yeah. He doesn't completely throw them out. He knows that direct instruction is still valuable.
Okay.
But he suggests weaving it into the activities in a more strategic way.
Okay.
So let's say students are working on a news broadcast. The teacher might give them a mini lesson on structuring sentences or introduce vocabulary about current events.
So it's still there, just integrated differently.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance between fun exploration and purposeful instruction.
You're making it relevant.
Yes. And Olsen really emphasizes that students need clear goals and time to reflect throughout the process.
Yeah.
It's not just about having fun and making videos.
Right.
It's about making sure they're really learning.
And understanding the concepts.
It's about that balance between freedom and structure.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Guiding them towards those learning outcomes.
So we've seen how this can transform language learning.
We have.
But Olsen takes it even further.
He does. He believes this can be applied to every subject.
Wow, every subject. That's a big claim.
It is. But he sees media arts as this powerful tool that can unlock potential in any area, from math and science to history and social studies. It's about seeing the creative possibilities.
I'm trying to imagine how you'd use media arts to teach math.
Oh, I know. Math can seem so dry sometimes.
Yeah.
But imagine students making animated videos.
Okay.
To explain these complex math ideas, they could use stop-motion animation to show geometric principles.
Oh, cool.
Or design interactive simulations to explore equations.
So they're bringing math to life.
Exactly. It becomes a visual, hands-on experience.
Instead of just memorizing formulas.
Right. And Olsen gives tons of other examples.
Like what?
Like documentaries about historical events.
Okay, yeah.
Virtual reality experiences for science.
That would be cool.
Or using music software to learn about patterns.
It's all about tapping into their creativity.
It is. It makes learning come alive.
Okay, I'm sold. But schools are slow to change. How does Olsen actually see this being implemented?
That's the million-dollar question, right? He knows it won't be easy.
Yeah.
He calls for a fundamental shift in how we think about education.
Okay.
Moving away from that traditional teacher-centered model to something more student-centered.
Yeah.
Inquiry-based.
It's about changing the whole system.
It is. And he suggests a multifaceted approach. More funding for media arts education, teacher training, professional development, and building partnerships with communities and the industry.
So it's about creating a system where this kind of learning can actually happen.
Exactly. Creating a culture that values media arts education.
Not just as a subject, but as a way of thinking?
Yes. And Olsen gives examples of schools and communities that have done this successfully.
Oh, that's encouraging.
It is. It shows that change is possible.
It takes a lot of work, though.
It does. It takes vision and commitment and collaboration.
But the results are worth it.
Absolutely. And Olsen leaves us with this feeling of urgency, but also optimism.
Okay.
He believes that now is the time to embrace this power of media arts education and create a future where all students can reach their full potential.
I love that. It's not just about learning skills.
Yeah.
It's about empowering them.
Yes.
To be creative thinkers, problem solvers, engaged citizens.
And to make a difference.
Okay, so we've seen how media arts can transform education as a whole.
We have.
Now let's look at a specific example of how Olsen puts these ideas into action.
Sounds good.
In a multimedia design course he developed.
Oh, cool.
We'll get into the nitty-gritty of how media arts can foster creative thinking, visual literacy, and problem-solving skills.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Before we moved on, we were talking about how media arts can be this powerful tool for learning across all kinds of subjects. Now we're going to really zoom in on a specific example. Olsen gives this multimedia design course he created.
Yeah, this is where those ideas we were talking about
really come to life in a practical setting.
Yeah, how do you actually teach this stuff?
Right, exactly. And I think what's so cool about Olsen's approach is that he doesn't just focus on the technical skills. He wants his students to actually think like designers.
Okay.
To really understand how visual communication works.
Yeah.
And how to solve problems creatively.
So where does he start?
Well, he starts them off with this really simple exercise.
Okay.
Arranging 5 basic shapes on a page.
Shapes, like squares and circles.
Yeah. Squares, circles, triangles. The basics.
Sounds pretty basic.
It does, but that's what's so brilliant about it.
Okay.
By getting rid of all the fancy stuff and just focusing on those core elements, he gets students to really understand the fundamentals of design.
Composition, balance, all that.
Exactly. It's like learning your scales before you can play a concerto.
I like that analogy.
Right.
So master the basics before you move on to the complex stuff.
Right.
So how does this shapes exercise actually work in the classroom?
So Olsen starts by showing them a really boring arrangement of the shapes.
Boring? How?
Just like all lined up in a row, equally spaced, no variation in size or color. And then he's like, okay, now make it interesting.
He just throws it out there.
He does.
Yeah.
He wants them to experiment, move the shapes around, resize them, overlap them, add color. There are so many possibilities.
Even with just 5 shapes?
Even with just 5 shapes. And it's so cool to see how students react.
How so?
Some jump right in, ready to break the rules.
Okay.
Others are more hesitant, scared to mess up.
That's interesting. It's like a little personality test.
It is. And Olsen uses these observations to spark discussions about design, about aesthetics, about creativity itself. He gets them to think critically about why some arrangements work better than others.
Oh, interesting.
To explain their choices and develop their own visual style.
So it's not just about making something pretty. It's about understanding those deeper principles.
Exactly. And there's no one right answer. He wants them to trust their instincts and be able to back up their choices.
Develop their own eye for design?
Yes. So that's the foundation.
Shapes exercise.
And from there, he builds on it with more complex projects.
Okay.
Using different media photography, video, graphic design, animation.
It's like a sampler platter of creative tools and techniques.
It is a really immersive experience.
Give me some examples. What kind of projects are they doing?
One that really stood out to me was the photojournal project.
Photojournal.
Yeah. He has them tell a story through a series of photographs.
Okay.
Focusing on one specific noun.
A noun, like a person, place, or thing.
Exactly. Or even an abstract concept, like love or freedom.
Ooh, that's challenging.
It is. The goal is to capture the essence of that noun visually.
So visual storytelling, basically.
Yes. And Olsen shares these amazing examples of student work.
Like what?
One student did a series of close-ups of their grandmother's hands.
Oh, wow.
Showing all the wrinkles, the veins, the years of experience.
Powerful imagery.
It was. Another student explored the concept of community.
Okay.
through photos of their neighborhood,
Interesting.
capturing those everyday moments and shared spaces that bring people together.
It's amazing how much you can convey with just a photograph.
It is. And Olsen stresses that it's not just about the technical stuff. It's about developing empathy,
Right.
seeing things from different perspectives, connecting with others.
So we've got photography. What other media do they explore?
He also gets them into filmmaking
Oh, cool.
with a project called the Artist Documentary.
So they're making movies now.
They are, but to keep it manageable,
Mm-hmm.
he has them focus on short documentaries,
Right.
like 60 to 90 seconds,
Got it.
about an artist they choose.
Okay.
So they have to research the artist, come up with a story, film interviews or footage, and then edit it all together.
A crash course in filmmaking.
Totally. They learn so much about storytelling,
Mm-hmm.
visual communication, the technical side of things.
Yeah.
And it gets them interested in art history,
Right.
different artistic styles.
It's that interdisciplinary connection again.
It is. He also throws in some really fun practical projects.
Okay, like what?
One that I thought was so clever was the cereal box design project.
Cereal boxes.
Yes, he has them invent their own cereal brand
Okay.
with a name, a story, and of course the packaging.
That's a great idea, something everyone can relate to.
Totally. And it teaches them about branding, marketing, visual persuasion.
How to make something appealing.
Exactly. So you have cereal boxes, they design flyers and posters for events.
Mm-hmm.
They create surreal images inspired by the surrealist art movement.
Wow.
Even design album covers for imaginary bands.
That's so cool. It sounds like a really fun course.
It does. And I love that he includes a project where they make a public service announcement or PSA.
Yeah, about a cause they care about.
Exactly. This really gets at the heart of how powerful media arts can be. It empowers students to use their voices,
Right.
raise awareness about important issues.
It's about making a difference.
It is. It shows them that media arts isn't just about self-expression. It can be a tool for social change.
And community engagement.
Yes. And this project brings everything together.
Mm-hmm.
The communication, the storytelling, the persuasion, the empathy, even a bit of activism.
It's the culmination of all they've learned.
Exactly. I'm so impressed with this course.
I do. It's so well designed.
It is.
Challenging but fun.
Yeah, and gives them such a wide range of skills.
But they can use no matter what they do in life.
Right. And I also really appreciate how much Olsen emphasizes reflection and critical analysis.
Mm-hmm.
He wants them to think about their process,
Right.
evaluate their own work,
Mhm.
explain their choices.
So they're not just doing the work.
Right.
They're thinking about it too.
Yes. It's about understanding why they made certain decisions.
And how those decisions affect the final product.
Exactly. It's about becoming aware of your own thinking.
That's a valuable skill.
It is, no matter what you do.
Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive
It has.
into Dane Olsen's media arts education.
Such a great book.
We've covered the history of media arts, its potential to transform how we learn,
Across all subjects.
and even seen it in action with this multimedia design course.
It's been a journey. And what I find so inspiring is Olsen's belief in the power of media arts to unlock potential, to cultivate creativity,
And critical thinking.
and to prepare students for the future.
It's a vision worth working towards.
It is.
I hope our listeners are feeling inspired to explore the world of media arts too,
Yeah. Whether it's through education or personal projects.
or just by being more aware of the media we consume.
Media arts is all around us.
It's
It's shaping our world, our thoughts,
Yeah.
connecting us in ways we're just starting to understand.
So let's embrace that power
Yes.
to create, to learn, to connect, and to make the world a better place.
I love that.
This has been The Deep Dive. Thank you for joining us on this journey.
It's been a pleasure. Until next time, stay curious.